Hello everybody, it's Holger Mueller here from Constellation Research, welcoming you to CRTV episode 64 with my fabulous co-host, hey Liz, how are you doing?
I'm good, Holger. I am doing well. It is tail end of summer here. We're kind of getting ready to get into fall. California is about to, has a hurricane threatening it, and you don't have to be anywhere near
it. August, right? What can go wrong?
Second half of August in a crazy year, what could happen? I don't know. Maybe we'll have a new tool pop up like generative AI and totally take over an industry so that no one wants to talk about anything else.
Maybe somebody comes up with some new AI thing, huh? That would be a new thing.
Maybe. But everything's good. Been going to a couple events, been, kind of getting back out in the thick of things. The event cycle is just about to kick back into high gear. And we'll all see ourselves back out on the road where we get to see all of our analyst and Constellation colleagues, probably more than we even want to, more than we see our families. But that's another story. But hey, Holger, let's talk about the news. What's going on in the world of tech for you, man?
Yeah, I mean, it's the earnings season, right? There's been some interesting news. Cisco actually has been doing well, right, for the first time. Right? There's a historic picture, if you like history like me. There's a sick man on the Bosporus, right, referring to the Ottoman Empire. There's a sick man of the South Bay of Silicon Valley, which has been Cisco. But Cisco had a great quarter, has a good quarter. And the interesting thing is, though, Chuck Robbins in the earnings part said that the growth is coming from the hyperscalers, the cloud providers buying Cisco gear, fueled by, here we go again, generative AI needs, right? So they need faster networks. They seem to be used to build their own networks. They seem to be able to build them fast enough. There might be a supply chain issue, which was also a thing with Cisco because they solved the supply chain backlog after 2 years post-COVID. So if that's something that Cisco can leverage, if this gives them the foot in the door on data center revenue, then the future of Cisco will look bright because it's something which they've been cut out in the past and can't really leverage. Couldn't really leverage, and maybe they can do going forward now.
I think it's interesting because I think, we talk a lot about generative AI and we talk a lot about AI and kind of how those two keep pushing everyone forward and keep seeming to, push all of the conversations. But I think more and more we're also hearing a lot of I think at least from the CX practitioner's point of view, I was just with, some folks who are users of the contact center solution 5.9, and the overwhelming conversation there was, AI is really cool, and we're really looking forward to seeing it actually work. So I think, when we asked a room full of users, we're like, hey, who's excited about generative AI? And everyone's hand went up, and we're like, okay, great. What excites you about generative AI? And every single answer was a variation on, well, we actually want to see what it's actually going to do instead of what all of our vendors say it's going to do. Like, we actually want to see the output from it. So I think the second half of the year, for sure, I don't know if you're kind of in the same spot, maybe with, the HCM folks, right? Okay, the first half of the year was all the promises. We've heard about all these different places that generative AI is going to come in. And it's not just generative AI. We've got all these models and everything's going to do all this great stuff. It's going to take all the mundane tasks off everyone's plate, right? Like, that's the big promise. But I think that, H2, hey, listen, warning, vendors out there, we're going to have to see that rubber meet the road, and it's going to have to happen pretty quickly because they did a really good job. And I think a lot of organizations did a very good job of outlining what the business use cases for both generative and kind of all over what AI was going to be. But we're going to have to see those results come in, right? We're going to have to see what actually happens and how people actually get to use it. And it's going to have to be almost as fast as
there's going to be right. And there's going to be less of an excuse. In the first half, you could see we were kind of like surprised by this whole thing at our conferences. Now it's average half a year plus to react to that. So there has to be a much mature response on the roadmap and capabilities for generative AI. But there's one big elephant in the room, and I recently had that with a conversation with the head of product of a large ERP vendor, which should not be mentioned. But the problem is that the system of record, the transactional data, the database content is still out of the realm of everything which is being happening for generative AI. And that is the thing which at the end of the day matters, right? I always say, if it matters to an enterprise, at some point there's going to be transaction in a relational database for whatever reporting, analysis, statutory reasons, and so on afterwards. If I can't add that to my nice natural language query, that's a big problem, right? To reach it to the next level. So I hope on the research side, on the conventional side, we see a breakthrough there potentially for vendors Not just bringing the speech, text, where it's just fabulous stuff, looking at code, does great stuff, but bring that together with the systems of record information, right? The workaround right now is that you verbalize it, right? Liz, yesterday, was on our website and bought the yellow sweater, which is going to be shipped to her next week, and she gave us 5 stars in the rating. Now that is verbalized, and the text of that can be queried. That's an expensive workaround to verbalize all of your system of record entries continuously, and then keep re-indexing on that. So that's the big thing missing right now. And I think when we bring those two together, then we'll see really the benefits of generative AI. But talking about more news, right?
Well, I mean, I think that part of that news, right, and part of what you're talking about is certainly we've seen Five9 picked up a nice little data company, Aceyus, about a week ago, 2 weeks ago now, I think it was. But, listen, call it a data integration company, call it a CDP. I don't care what you call it, right? It's a data company. But I think that pickup was an acknowledgement from Five9 saying, listen, we've not only got to integrate data that has for a very long time, for the contact center at least, been on-prem. Right. And now we've got to figure out how to integrate all of these systems into this new age of a cloud environment with a whole lot of cloud-based business applications. How do we bring all this data together? Because that's going to be the hiccup point for AI. So I think that's also going to be driving a lot of the news that we're going to be seeing. What else are you seeing as headlines right now, Holger?
Yeah, very interesting. Other news, right? Interesting coming out of Harvard last week, or this week actually. A Harvard researcher has figured out that you can put together Google instances to emulate and get the same power like a supercomputer, which is kind of like, congratulations, but that's something we kind of like expected, because Google built Google Cloud in a way to get the network fast between different size of clusters for the workloads that they had before generative AI, which was building large translation models, right? Which is similar, a huge GPU, CPU, number crunching data thing. Right, so nice for Harvard to have figured it out and confirmed that. Good to see more options. Not a surprise, but hey, now it's official. You can build a supercomputer out of Google clusters. So congrats to the Google architect.
Well, I mean, I think it's going to be interesting. I think that this quarter's earnings were definitely interesting by way of kind of what we saw, people either holding on or accelerating because they've actually got things off the ground. I mean, Adobe's stock has been doing quite well, and you started to see kind of upgrades in even what their stock ranking is because of where they are with the products they're delivering with AI, whether it's Firefly, whether it's some of the other tools and solutions on the back end. I think the financial institutions are saying, okay, listen, if you're already in market, if you're actually delivering, if we're starting to see revenue come in for it, your stock's getting that bump as well. So I think we're easily going to have another quarter. And I think Larry Dignan in Constellation Insights, you go to the site and check it out, folks. Larry did a bit of a review of saying, hey, listen, everyone who came out with earnings, it was all about generative AI in this earnings call. But I think that, we're also going to see that play out in a lot of the hardware folks that I know that you track quite closely just because of the cloud. But Holger, what's happening what's in your other favorite pastime in HR? Are you seeing any big moves or anything interesting that's coming out in the HCM space as we head into the second half of the year?
Yeah, well, we had the conference season, right? We have 4 big events basically happening. Only Sapphire happened, and was kind of like a non-event on the HCM side because they kept stuff for Success Connect, which is going to be in fall. So it's all HCM, right? Success Connect is in fall, Oracle Cloud World is in fall, Workday Rising is in fall, Inforce Conference is in fall, right? UKG's conference is in fall, Ceridian's conference is in fall, right? So ADP's event is in fall. So everybody I'm tracking my market overview is coming in fall. They're all in position to have a better answer on generative AI than all the unlucky guys in spring, basically, which have to say, wow, we always been doing AI since a long time. And I hope that they will tackle some of the low-hanging fruit, which is honestly the employee handbook. Works perfectly to be indexed for generative AI. The support use cases which people are calling in to have an assistant to help with that. And then can you reduce significant time of the departmental HR people, which spend 10, 15, 25% of their time just hand-holding, talking to people on stuff, which is already been documented and been available somewhere else, but people just don't find it, have a hard time to find out. And what better way than natural language to figure out how long, till when do I have to take my vacation from last year? Easy peasy enough, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, but I want to see when HR is going to start tackling this issue of, hey, did you hear that Netflix is hiring a AI product manager and they want to pay that person $900,000 a year? That's going to be something that everyone is going to have to tackle at those conferences towards the end of the year, right?
What?
Who are we hiring to take care of all of this madness for us?
Yeah, and talking about hiring, right? I mean, potentially the larger HR software vendor is somebody owned by Microsoft, a company called LinkedIn, right? We know the LinkedIn numbers of revenue just on the recruiting scale. We don't know it for the large ERP vendors who don't break it out, so it's kind of like Googling the numbers. But there's a very fair chance that Microsoft and LinkedIn is the largest one. The big question is, what is this largest HCM vendor who does recruiting with the power of OpenAI in the house do, right? So when is Satya Nadella going to pounce on the LinkedIn CEO, which I don't know, actually, shame on me who it is right now, by heart, and say, like, when are you going to make a little more generative AI in the recruiting process? It's going to be interesting to see.
It's going to be the question. And, listen, I think that as we head into the second half of the year, my bet is going to be, I think people are going to kind of return their focus back onto, okay, all this Gen AI stuff is great, but where do we have the data and do we have the process and operations? I think for a lot of our buy-side clients, the vendors are still kind of focused on the cool and on the AI, but what I keep hearing from a lot of our buy-side clients is, okay, well, how are we going to get there, right? Our old processes didn't work when we automated a lot of them. Is this the same thing that's going to happen? So I think we're getting a lot of different questions. We'll probably have a lot more coming at you. But the big news out of Constellation, certainly this week, is, hey, everyone, it's ShortList season. Holger and I are going to come back with a couple comments on our individual shortlists that we've been producing. But ShortList season is always a fun season around here at Constellation because it gives us a chance to go through any number of categories. I think there's something like 80 somewhat, like there's an astronomical number of lists out there, people. But if you go to our website, constellationr.com, you're going to go check out the research and go check out the shortlist. You literally just need that short condensed list of some of the hottest technologies out there that we have each gone through within our own categories to make sure that we are vetting everything that is staying on top of everything that you guys need. We're the place to come find it with our short list. Again, Holger, you and I will come back with those short lists.
I need to say this, Liz. I need to say this, right? Start your journey to enterprise acceleration with the Constellation shortlist, right? Because you can shrink down that selection time frame to the shortlist right away. That's the whole idea of that. And enterprise acceleration is near and dear to my heart, as we all know, but that's how you start it right away.
Yeah. That and it's free. So, you just you get those lists. We're here to help, and we want to cut out some of the nonsense that people have to go through. So that's the point of the short list. Again, those are released now. You're going to start to see those swirling around. But for now, we're going to get on with this episode number 64. Here we go. Hey everyone, I'm back. Liz Mueller here to talk to you about our Constellation shortlist. I know that you have seen these every single time we release them, but just wanted to give a little note about what happened this time in our second drop of 2023, at least for me. AI arguably has made an impact across all of our key technology sectors. And I think this is absolutely true when we start to look at our content technology sectors, whether it is your headless content management system, whether you're looking at a hybrid system, or whether you're looking at digital asset management. We're now seeing new ways that we not only can create content at a massive scale, but we're also trying to figure out how to deliver that in both a headless and a hybrid manner. We're also looking for how to institutionalize it, make it commercially available for the enterprise. So whether that is how you are looking at digital asset management tools that have to be for high moving and fast paced commerce, whether you're looking at new file types, whether you're looking at new personalized and consumer created and co-created assets. Digital asset management tools are really changing at hyper speed. It's also happening with content management. Content management solutions really have to be able to keep pace with this new age when we're telling stories, not only through different channels, but we're telling stories through different pieces of content. So no matter how you are looking at these technologies, no matter kind of where you are looking to present them, we're seeing the biggest changes probably in the hybrid solutions first, because these are the tools, of course, that have those great interfaces where business users can also quickly and easily update, deploy, create, and have those presentation layers readily available. Within purely headless solutions, we're looking at actually new ways you can actually use headless solutions. So it's not just, I want to make sure my website's there. It's also going to be, maybe I can use that as a DAM. Maybe I can use that as a CRM. We're starting to see content be defined differently. This is where I get really excited about where content management is taking us, because content has to be redefined, and now is the time that we're able to do it. So are we looking at events? Are we looking at records? Are we looking at customers? Are we looking at data? Where does that content really start to come alive, and where does it start to make a difference? We're also starting to see this world in which content isn't limited to just, say, a developer being able to do that. I don't like to use the words citizen programmer, citizen developer, citizen website user. This is really about federating that capacity to deploy content across the entire organization. Because right now we live in this age where every single piece of the enterprise is now part of telling the story. And that's especially important as we start to look at these eras where AI also becomes part of our storytelling mechanism. Where is that data coming from? Where is that content coming from? How are we starting to look at analytics differently so that as we are deploying these new content management solutions, we can really understand who's part of our transmedia storytelling? Trust me, it's a thing. Go look it up. Now, some of our other shortlists really around content, yes, but also around data. Specifically launching the newest update to the content to the customer data platform, the CDP. If I've said it once, I've said it a million times. A CDP is not a marketing toy for just marketing things. And let me tell you, this is why the CDP market is ablaze right now. This is a fast-moving space, but it's also fast-moving into a commodity. Because if we just start to look at a CDP as if it's only really good for those marketing kids, you're missing out on where customer data truly comes from and who these segments and this personalization strategy can really start to deploy to. So we start to look at CDPs not just from where they're impacting marketing creative engagements, but where are they really impacting all engagements. So that's where you start to see the CDP list needed to get narrowed down. So there are some players that have unfortunately left the list, not because they don't have great solutions, but more because I needed to really start narrowing down how many solutions are on this list. But what we start to see in the CDP category is if you can't get data from across the organization and you can't actually distribute intelligence and segments to other points of engagement, you probably aren't going to make the shortlist. Sorry. But here's why the shortlists are important, because they literally do the impossible. They actually start to cut down through some of this clutter and cut through the noise. We've looked at them all so that we can get you guys the most concise and the most, hopefully, usable list of technology out there. So check it out, constellationr.com, go to shortlist, you'll see all of the updates. We really enjoy doing them because it keeps us ahead of everything that's going out there. And listen, if you saw a zebra walk by, it actually did happen. So thanks to this amazing location here at the Columbus Zoo. Check out the shortlist. We'll be back at you in a little moment.
Hello, everybody. It's Holger Mueller here from Constellation Research, here to talk to you about Constellation ShortList. Quick preface to that. Companies have to move faster, become more agile, and also accelerate in their software selection. This is why we came up with the Constellation Research ShortLists, which help companies to accelerate their software selection from 3/4 of a year, maybe even a year, down to 3-6 months, because you can right away go to the shortlists. The shortlists are vendors which fulfill criteria which we publish, usually once a year for a certain area. Look at the criteria that they apply to your enterprise, then you can proceed to the selected vendors that we have in that specific shortlist because they fulfill those criteria. As we take regular briefings with them, often attend the conferences event, follow them, answer questions to them in the press, and on and on and on. Advise customers on software selection, not to forget that too. So in my Q3, they come out in Q1, Q3 of each year. That is future of work heavy with my two research areas. So there's a shortlist of global HCM suites, benefits administration, the European talent management suites. I differ them to the North American ones because we know Europe and North America are sometimes a little different. Compensation management, also part of talent management, broken out because it's very specific from a vendor and selection perspective. Workforce management suites, one which had a lot of activities coming up, and then North American small, medium business payroll, because SMBs operate differently and meet different payroll requirements. And over to the next generation application side, which will be shifted to Q1. I have 2 shortlists coming out, one on no-code, low-code for SAP, the number 1 ERP vendor, very important capabilities and vendors there. And then it's the year of AI, all about the integrated development environments that developers use to build AI applications. Also published with my esteemed colleague Dion, Enterprise Low-Code Tools and Platforms. It's a joint shortlist, check that out. And then, of course, with our founder Ray, global public cloud transformation vendors, those are SIs who help with cloud implementations. And then the metaverse is still a thing. Who are the relevant metaverse vendors? People are still doing applications with them. Surprised or not surprised. What are the development platforms close to my research area of next generation applications? And what are the platforms to run on once you've built those, which are the metaverse worlds? But as mentioned, let's look a little more in detail in the AI-powered IDEs. And there our selection criteria, which are total, like count 7, are the following, right? You must have more than 10 specific AI, sometimes are called machine learning, powered code productivity capabilities. Otherwise, you're not a suite level vendor for that. You must have a roadmap. I'm a big fan of roadmaps to know what is coming when, so you can plan your selection. What will the vendor deliver? And it's very important to build trust. It's very important to build your rollout and know which capabilities you want to build in the AI space and what time frame. Third one, tangible results, examples of these features to show what really matters, and that is developer velocity. Developers have to become more agile, have to move faster, have to administer right and operate more code. Support of popular code languages, right? We have to be close to where developers are, move them there to AI-empowered applications. An easy uptake education on the features. Nobody has time to do a long classroom learning capability. There should be over 75,000 developers using the new AI capabilities of that IDE, and there should be over 150,000 as an overall ecosystem having access, not necessarily working on that. But then, last but not least, who are the 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 vendors that are on the AI-powered IDE Constellation shortlist? Those are in alphabetical order. There's no preference. It's just the power of the alphabet. Obviously, Amazon Code Guru, very popular in the most popular cloud for developers. There's GitHub Copilot, the code repository that's using as very interesting capabilities on the probability side. There's, of course, Google AI Builder, which came out into production this year, which makes it very, very easy, not just for developers, but also for business people to build AI applications. IBM is still working hard with Watson X, very important as vertically integrated AI check all the way down to the clusters and that, and then very interesting work on what matters in generative AI with foundation models. Of course, IntelliJ, a very popular platform, has added the idea capabilities to that platform. It's AI-powered now. Then, of course, the other popular platform is Microsoft Visual Studio with IntelliCode, which helps developers be faster. But also, let's not forget Microsoft's low-code application with Power Apps, where the Copilot allows you to build complete application with speech. Similar like Google, also completely focused on the business user, the tech-savvy business user to build applications. And then last but not least, because super powerful and popular, the Python platform, the capabilities of PyCharm, which come closer to the developer on the Python platform to enable applications. And very similar, Tab9 coming closer, bringing the capabilities, AI capabilities to enable an assistant-like process to code generations. So here you have it, 9 vendors on the Constellation shortlist for AI-powered IDEs. If you're looking to build and start your generative AI projects in general, these are the platforms which fulfill the criteria I mentioned before. This is Holger Mueller from Constellation Research. Thanks for watching.
Holger, end of episode 64. Oh my gosh, people have had to hear a lot from us this episode. I'm sorry, everyone. Gosh, I feel like we need to apologize for that.
Is there anything better than hearing from Liz and me? I don't know.
I don't know. It's well, you know what? You know what might actually be better than hearing from us? Actually hearing from the Sirius pair, who's going to be up next with our next episode of Constellation TV. That's right. It's going to be Doug Hench and Diane Hinchcliffe coming back at you for episode 65. But until then, on behalf of Holger Mueller and myself, follow us on Twitter. You can follow Constellation at constellationr.com. You can also follow us on LinkedIn. Lots of stuff going on, so stay tuned. But until next time, Holger, safe travels, my friend.
Thanks for watching. Thank you.
Dog barking in the background and everything. Hopefully you don't hear it. That's Tala. That's our neighbor's dog. So I can't even do anything about it.
Oh, that sucks.
Hey, Tala. But you know what? No one's going to break into this house. Tala's got the whole cul-de-sac covered. Just restart. We're here.
Sorry,
We'll
guys.
see you in a minute. Yep, go. Bye.
Yep. It's with your relationship issues. I have a lot to say.
Oh no. Is it optional or is it required to hear it?
Only if you want.
We'll learn from Holger.
No, we want to hear your sage wisdom, Holger.
Holger's relationship hour, starting when he comes back.
We can't do the downward facing angle.
Yeah.
Yes,
no, I was gonna
but
say.
I'm still restarting my computer. It takes 5 minutes, so let's see.
That's the
We can't be
saddest little prisoner light. You see, Holger, what is the string and the light bulb you've got behind you? You look like you're in
This is the light that I have in my brother's
prison
bedroom.
camp.
How can I show it?
Can I get your brother a lamp or something? Can I just send it to him? Because that sad little prisoner light makes me sad. Like, I feel like that might be step number 1 on the relationship advice list too. Like, have a clean kitchen.
How to clean the kitchen?
Yeah,
Yes.
know how to clean a kitchen might actually be non-negotiable
Not a
number
bad
1.
one.
It just
Not the bad one. Can I put a virtual background here? Because it's so vague. How can a phone be better than the computer? It looks like. Oh, wait.
I turned off the sun, aka the light with the string, and now I'm not sharp. Everything's falling apart here.
I know.
yeah, it is. Just go back to your phone. Your computer hates Germany. There we go.
The audio's better.
That's better.
Okay, let's try it like this. Far away. You have to fix all my headline and other stuff. I have to stand in front of the stupid light bulb.
Just
I can't
fine.
do my usually head movement stuff.
No, you can't. You got to sit still. I don't even know what we're talking about today. Shit. What are we doing? How long?
Are
do
we
have
talking
to
about
go?
relationship stuff or not?
Is there anything to actually talk about? Has it been a boring tech summer? Like, it kind of feels like boring tech summer. Are we on the wrong
Okay.
side? We're on the wrong side. Hannah! Thank you. And Hannah can cut that out because I'm standing next to Giraffe. Thank you, Hannah. Literally. We got people. We got zebras. Didn't see a giraffe. Maybe right there. Oh, look, giraffe. Oh, okay, bye.